Emily Cardarelli. I'm one of the chairs of the Biogeosciences Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and we're so pleased to present Demystifying the Preparation Process for AGU Honors nomination packets today. And my co-chair is Maya Alvarez, and our committee was formed last year to advance and further DEI initiatives within the section as well as the broader field of biogeosciences.
Great. Can you get the next slide? Awesome. Thank you. So yes, my name is Maya Almaraz, and I'm going to present our presenters today. We're very fortunate to have LaToya Miles, who is the director of the Atmospheric Turbulence and Diffusion Division at NOAA's Air Resources Laboratory. LaToya is a member of the Biogeosciences DEI Committee and is also the chair for the Honors and Recognition Committee. Rosa Mamie, who is the director of AGU's Engagement and Membership. Jennifer Glass, who is an associate professor at Georgia Tech. She's also a member of our Biogeosciences DEI Committee. She is a former member of the AGU Biogeosciences Honors Canvassing Committee and was also the recipient of the 2021 Thomas Hilker Early Career Award for Excellence in Biogeosciences. And lastly, we have Ariel Ambar, who's the President's Professor at Arizona State University. Ariel is a former AGU Biogeosciences President. He's also the former chair of the Biogeosciences Canvassing Committee, and in 2021 was named an AGU Fellow. So we're really happy to hear from everyone today and learn more about the nomination process.
All right, I think I'm up first. Thank you all for joining us today. And as Maya just said, Rosa is joining me. She's kind of indispensable for AGU's honors program staff. So if there are points of clarification or questions in the Q&A, Rosa is going to be here as a resource to help us out and provide us some information from the staff perspective. But I want to start though by sharing some information about the program and providing a little bit of background and some context for some of the further discussions. Next. So our AGU Honors website is agu.org/honors, and on that website there are links to lots of resources as well as background information about the various honors and awards, medals and prizes and fellowships that are offered by the AGU Honors program. We have a variety of different recognitions to really recognize and highlight the outstanding contributions that our colleagues are making in the earth and space sciences through either their research, their educational activities, science communication, outreach, journalism, etc. And the honors program is a critical element that helps us realize and recognize the value of the mission. And we have quite a few honors across a broad spectrum of both the section and at the union level, a little over 100. So there are many different types of recognitions that are available each year. The nominations period overall typically begins in mid-January. I think that's a great set of timing because we're coming out of fall meeting where quite a few of us are actually engaging with colleagues, whether virtually, online, or in person, and you're able to think about what types of honors might be appropriate for a nomination packet coming out of fall meeting. So I encourage you to take advantage of that time while you're at fall meeting to start thinking about how you could participate in the honors program and the honors process. So that nomination period typically begins in mid-January. We'll have announcements on EOS and online, welcoming folks to send in their nomination packages, and then we'll have a period, nomination period closes, and then go into committee deliberations all the way through the announcement of that particular year's honorees, which tends to happen in the month of September. Recognition of honorees happens at AGU fall meeting, but I know that there are sections who recognize and provide some type of webinars for their honorees throughout the year. And so we encourage everyone to participate in the process of AGU honors and to learn more about the different types of honors that we have, because we have many individuals who are highly qualified across our different disciplines and across our different communities that we would like to see honored with one of these awards, prizes, medals, fellowship, lectureships. Next slide. So when it talks about governance, when it comes to the AGU Honors Program, I serve as chair of the Honors and Recognition Committee, and our job as a committee is to maintain oversight of all of the portfolio of AGU's honors at all levels, and that includes fellowship, it includes the union level, the medals, awards, and prizes. It also includes the section level honors. Our activities include some of our operational activities, which we receive recommendations from members about new honors, about the selection processes and procedures. We review proposals for different recognitions and provide comment, and then approval that then goes on to AGU Council. We also want to create a community so that we're leveraging and enhancing the visibility and the achievements of all of our honorees in AGU and in the greater Earth and Space Science community. One of the committees that reports to the Honors and Recognition Committee is the Union Fellows Committee, and they're charged with selecting and vetting from among those nomination packages individuals who will be honored with the designation of fellow. And that's in recognition of their eminence in Earth and Space Sciences, the different discovery and breakthrough activities related to their research and their work that they have conducted across various disciplines. So the Honors and Recognition Committee maintains overall oversight of the AGU Honors Program, and then we have the Union Fellows Committee, which is focused just on AGU Fellowship. Next slide. So again, the Honors Program structure here, we have those various committees and other committees who are working in support of the Honors Program, but the Honors Program itself includes awards and lectures within all of the sections. We also have the Fellows Program. We have what we call UMAP. It's the Union Level Medals, Awards, and Prizes. And then we also have the Journalism Awards. And all of these different honors actually are available with different information on our AGU Honors website. And as well as if you're attending any of the AGU Honors activities that occur at fall meeting, you will see various lectureships, various ceremonies and luncheons that are highlighting the honorees in each of these different categories. Next slide. So when we talk about categories, we have those kind of broader ones, but then I also want to talk a little bit more about exactly what some of these awards are. We often hear feedback that we have a large portfolio of awards in AGU, and so we want to make sure that we share information with you just briefly here about what some of these different honors are. So there are union level awards and prizes that are targeted recognizing individuals who have demonstrated excellence in either scientific research, communication, education, and or outreach. On the left is the list of the awards, starting with the Africa Award in alphabetical order all the way through the Smith Award. And then we have two prizes, the Climate Prize and the Terra Prize. And is it Tyra? I think it's Tyra Prize. Yes, thank you, Rosa. So the main difference and I had to learn this early on in my service with honors and recognition, is there is a difference between awards and prizes. Prizes come with some type of monetary prize, and there's two of those at the union level, the Climate Prize and the Tyra Prize. Those have a monetary benefit for whoever the awardee, the honoree is for that year attached to it. So when you hear the name prize, there's a monetary benefit attached to that. And then you have all of these level of different awards that AGU provides. And so each of those has a description that's available on our website, so you can dig a little bit deeper into those. I do want to say probably the one that most of the community is really familiar with is the Ambassador Award. That's a very popular one. It's one that receives quite a few nominations every year. But there are other awards. The International Award is actually the committee I worked on when I first started volunteering with the Honors Program. And so there's some great opportunities there to nominate really deserving colleagues for any of these honors. Next slide. When it comes to the medals, The medals recognize individuals for their scientific body of work. It's more about lifetime achievement and/or sustained impact across the union. One of the fun facts when it comes to the medals is the medals are actually the highest honor that AGU bestows in our honors program. So I know sometimes they're all kind of mixed in with awards and prizes, but the highest honor that AGU bestows is actually a union level medal. You'll see here the list of medals, and I'm really pleased to say that the Honors and Recognition Committee actually approved a proposal for a new medal, the Eunice Foote Medal, and that medal will be awarded this year in the 2022 cycle. And it's really exciting because we haven't had a new medal in a while, and if you don't know who Eunice Foote is, I encourage you to go Google the name and find out more about the amazing work that she did as a scientist. So here's our list of medals. Probably the one that's most popular as far as recognition across the union on this list would either be the McElwain or the Simpson Medal. They both receive quite a few nominations each year. Next slide. So fellows. Fellows are individuals and our colleagues in our community who have made exceptional contributions to earth and space sciences in these three distinct categories. It's breakthrough or discovery, innovation in disciplinary science, cross-disciplinary science, instruments, data sets, or methods development, or sustained scientific impact. Our fellows really act as both internal and external experts in their disciplines. They're capable of advising government agencies and providing scientific input to organizations across the globe. Fellows truly demonstrate kind of the scientific eminence in our various disciplines across sections, and their achievements are outstanding when it comes to their portfolio of work. I would like to add that the underlined text on this slide is relatively new text that the Honors and Recognition Committee added to the description of fellows, and that text reads that these nominees are expected to have shown exemplary leadership in following and promulgating AGU's values. And this leadership may include, but is not limited to, things like fostering equity and integrity, diversity and open science, mentoring, public engagement, and communication. One of the rationales for adding this language is we've had individuals involved in the nomination process who said they had a candidate that they were putting forward who had outstanding, sustained scientific impact, but they also were an excellent mentor to all of their undergraduate, graduate students, and postdocs. And they wanted to be able to highlight that record of outstanding mentorship in the nomination package, along with information about sustained scientific impact. And so as a committee, we feel like adding this language here with the fellows description helps our nominators understand that they can show kind of the breadth and the depth of leadership for their nominees going forward. Next slide. Section awards are for individuals that are recognizing their outstanding contributions within their specific scientific field, and there are actually 47 different section awards. We wanted to provide a short sample of some of those. You'll see some names of awards. Hilco Award that was mentioned in Jen's introduction. There are several others, Ocean Sciences Voyager Award, Saltzman Award. All of these are also available with descriptions, and you can see the full list on our website as well. Next slide. Here's just a snapshot of the section awards by section, so you can get an overall idea of how many section awards are within each section for your particular section that you may be a member of. And so you'll see there are some sections that have one award. Some of them are relatively new with having an awards, but then we have other sections that have awarded section honors for years, and they may have, at this point, the most we have is 4. And that's with SPA and as well as with natural hazards. Next slide. Before I close, I wanted to highlight the fact that we have some new AGU awards that will be launching at fall meeting this year. We've really heard just a groundswell of support for having awards that recognize outstanding contributions when it comes to advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility. And so there's a new AG award for advancing inclusive excellence in STEM that will recognize exemplary efforts by an individual or by a team in developing programs, systems, or networks that are advancing DEI across disciplines in the earth and space sciences community. It's expected that these nominees that are distinguished for this award, again, whether it's an individual or a team, will come across all career levels. This isn't targeted at any particular career level. So anyone early career who's involved in DEI research, we are really encouraging nominations for this award. The second new award is an AGU Lifetime Achievement Award for Diversity and Inclusion. And this really is more targeted for senior scientists, but someone across the course of their career who's been developing programs or networks with DEI within our community. And it's a distinguished individual who has just exemplified excellence or inspired others to embrace and drive sustainable change when it comes to DEI in the earth and space sciences. We're very excited about these new awards, and we've worked collaboratively to develop these proposals with AGU's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. We were really excited that Council and the board approved these, and so you'll be hearing more information and more communications about these new awards going forward. Next slide. The honors program audit, I'll just speak briefly to. Some of you may have heard that the honors program is undergoing an audit right now. The goal of our audit is really to assess how our honors program is aligning with AGU's strategic plan, as well as AGU's diversity and inclusion plan. The scope really currently is looking at union level medals, awards, and prizes, as well as section awards. We're reviewing everything from the nomination process all the way through the selection and committee contributions, all the way through how we're engaging and communicating about awards, so that individuals who want to participate either on a selection committee, as a nominator, as a letter writer, as a supporter, will have an opportunity to be able to learn more about that award in an easy way and have the process be more streamlined. We're right in the middle of conducting this audit now. Actually had information about it just this morning in our Honors and Recognition Committee meeting. We will present our final recommendations at the AGU Council meeting that happens just before fall meeting. So those recommendations will be presented there, and we'll get feedback from Council at that time. But I did want to make everyone aware we do have a program audit ongoing, and we have been seeking input from across the union on how to improve and ensure that our honors are representative across a broad spectrum. And I think that's my last slide. All right, thank you.
Great, so now we have plenty of time for questions, at least 15 minutes, so we can answer a lot of questions. So Hannah, do you want to take it away with facilitating that?
Yeah, so we actually haven't had any questions come in the chat yet. So, and I'm not seeing any hands up. So for our audience, feel free to, raise your hand. We can bring you off mute, or if it would be easier, feel free to put any questions that you may have in the chat, and I'll call them out here to Latoya and the rest of our group. Not seeing anything.
Oh, hi, Latoya. This is Emily. Thank you so much for a great presentation and a great layout of all the AGU awards, as well as the different criteria and where you guys are going with these. I was wondering on timeline, when do you recommend folks to start looking for awards, to start this process going?
So I will, Rosa's gonna laugh at me, but I will say, I hope people are thinking all the time. If you're out on the ship, if you're out in the field, If you're engaging with colleagues at a conference or a meeting and you see someone who's conducting outstanding work or has that drive or has that passion, no matter the career level, no matter their location, I hope you're thinking about how can I nominate that person for an AGU award? There is an award cycle that I mentioned where, we are starting the nomination process, opens in January, but there's nothing that says you can't start pulling together the pieces of a nomination package. And I know Ariel and Jen are going to talk about this more, that you can't start putting those pieces together and identifying who your lead nominator will be, who your letter writers will be at any time throughout the year. So I just encourage folks to think broadly and think openly, because some of what we've heard in feedback is that there'll be someone nominated for an award and they'll be surprised by the nominator and the team of folks putting together the package, because they say, I can't believe that person's never been recognized with this. And it's often because people thought, one, they've already either been recognized, or two, they feel like they don't know what the process is. And so part of that honors program audit is we want to encourage people to know more about the process, so it's not an impediment to submitting a nomination, that we can help support nominations across the spectrum.
Thank you so much, Latoya. I have a follow-up question. If we do have someone that we thought of that we think would be a great candidate for any of these awards, how can we get in touch with the canvassing committee?
Rosa, I'm going to say, I know we have the Canvassing Oversight Committee, but then there are individual committees within the sections. And so I'm going to, if you'll handle that one, you know more about kind of how that process works.
Yeah, and I think it's really reaching out to those committees. They're always trying to kind of come up with ideas, and we do, I believe, list those committees on our website in case you're not quite sure who they are. But that certainly reach out that way. Yeah.
Another good, sorry, this is Hannah, I'm just jumping in. Another good way of reaching folks too, if you're ever unsure or it's not easy for you to find those lists on our website, you can always email the AGU Honors inbox and we can help direct you to the correct folks.
Yeah.
Do you mind putting that in the chat, the email?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And then we have a couple of questions that came in here. So how early should AGU members start thinking about applying for awards? So grad, postdoc, assistant, professor. So for it sounds like earlier career individuals.
I would say all the time. What we've tried to do in looking at proposals for new awards or revisions for existing awards is really ask the sections or the committees to think about how do you broaden scope for that award. We want early career individuals to be eligible for awards, and I think we have quite a few in the portfolio that are open to early career. And I would say most of those awards, it's hard to pinpoint if it's for graduate students, postdocs, assistant professors. It's early career, and I think that definition is 6 years. Rosa, is it 6?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's within the first 6 years from the last degree is kind of early career and how we term it. And all of that information about what is defined as early career versus mid-career versus more senior is all also on the honors website. But I would say it really is not, you can't say, well, a graduate student shouldn't apply to this, because I've seen some outstanding nominations for graduate students who were really close to completing their degrees, who were in their postdocs, who just have published, had outstanding work where they're leading meetings. I mean, they're really engaged with their mentors and advisors on research and just doing an outstanding job. So it really depends on the candidate. And what I just encourage you to do is look at the overall body of work for that individual or for the team and consider how that will fit with the particular honor.
And I'll just add that I will admit our website is kind of hard to find things right now. We're going to kind of redo some things over the next year or so. But in the short term, do invest a little bit of time, and we do have a web page for each award. So there is information in terms of the requirements, who it's for, and to Latoya's point, maybe push the envelope a little bit as well if it doesn't expressly state, you know, kind of the target audience. But if you have questions, you can email us, but we do have some criteria lined out or outlined online. You know, maybe a little hard to find right now.
All right, we have another question too, actually. So the first one is, will you talk a little bit about members versus external people groups being submitted for honors? So specifically thinking about DEI and STEM programs.
Yeah, so one of the potential barriers that I think the H&R committee recognized several years ago, and I can't remember what year it was, but there used to be language in the honors program that a nominee and kind of that whole team of folks supporting the nomination all had to be AGU members. And so what the H&R committee has done in recent years, and I think we've tried to communicate this out, is that we are trying to encourage folks who are putting forward nominations to remove for new medals and new awards, just kind of to remove that barrier to say we're not requiring AGU membership, because what we want is we know that membership, you know, has its privileges, but it also has its costs. And so in certain countries around the world, AGU membership may be cost prohibitive. And so what we've tried to do is think about how do we broaden the potential pool. And to do that, we are in our proposals going forward looking at, okay, how do we have folks who may not be members start engaging in the process for honors, and through that they may want to become AGU members because of their experience in the process. So that is something we have worked on quite a bit when it comes to that. I also encourage people to think about, and I'm sure Jan and Ari will talk about this, think about their team of folks who are supporting nominations in a very diverse way. I think some of the most successful folks through the process seem to have, you know, different people who are contributing to the development of the package. And not everyone's name has to be the lead nominator, but they can be a person who's helping pull together information. And I think that in itself is actually educational on all parts, because you get to learn and see how the process works.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, someone mentioned the canvassing committee. What is the advantage of reaching out instead of just sending in the nomination?
Support. I think in a word, right, is that the canvassing committee knows the honors for which they're canvassing, and they can help provide information and support and guidance along the way. And I think that's the purpose of why we are really encouraging sections to develop and maintain their canvassing committees, because some sections have them, others don't. But we see it as a great opportunity and a resource for those individuals who are pulling together nomination packages.
Yeah, I totally agree. It doesn't preclude you from just sending it in as well. I mean, you can certainly go that route too. But yeah.
All right, so it looks like we have another question here. And if I'm getting this wrong, let me know. Please come off mute. This is from Peyton Smith in the audience. So I think it's, when can we expect the early career designation of AGU to be more inclusive, i.e. non-tenured or non-PI status? And then there's a bit of a follow-up here. Many of us are still early in our career, but are more than 6 years post-PhD. Longer postdocs and parental leave can push applicants past early career status, but not give us the opportunity to get the grants and awards that most mid-career scientists can.
Oh, this is fantastic set of questions. And I think this is, I'm going to try to get the title right to it, Rosa, because I know we've developed the language, and we rolled this out 2021, was it? With our exceptions to the early career designation. I think it was 2021, if I remember correctly. So there is language that the H&R committee has on our website, and I think we communicated it out through EOS, if I remember right, where we do accept nominators who want to say, I want to nominate someone. That person went on parental leave, that person had military service, that person was affected by the pandemic adversely, and they're right at that threshold between early career and mid-career. Is there any consideration that we could be given so that individual can still be nominated for an early career award? And so we came up with a process where H&R reviews each case on a case-by-case basis and are able to give that opportunity for that person to still be considered for an early career award. Because we heard from the community quite a bit that there were individuals who were saying, I took parental leave, I had military, there's mandatory military service in some countries around the world. There are others who've had career interruptions, and it's a really easy process of how you submit that information. It comes into H&R, we have a subcommittee that looks at it, and they reply back with the response from the committee to let you know if that individual can have that exception and still be considered for an early career award.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we refer to it on the website as a waiver perhaps, but it's, yeah. And we have used it a lot this year because of the pandemic. So that's where we've seen most of the requests come through, but obviously for a broad host of things, as we talked about.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So if they're getting to that threshold and you're saying that person is right there at that early career to mid-career transition, put in the waiver anyway so that you have that in place.
Great. Thank you, Latoya. So we have another question here. How famous do you have to be to get an award?
I love that one. Jen, you're famous. You got an award. Ariel, you're fellow, you're famous. So I don't think it's fame, because I think what I've seen is there are really great people who I think are famous in their fields, but sometimes the nomination packages don't match the outstanding contributions of that individual or team. And I think that's kind of what a lot of the genesis of this webinar and other resources is about, is we have outstanding people across all different sections, all different disciplines around the globe who are doing great work. How do we get them to that big stage at AGU fall meeting so that they can accept an award that is commensurate with the accomplishments that they have made in their field? And so I think it doesn't necessarily deal with fame, but I think you can put together a strong package for someone, regardless of where they are, that can help them receive the recognition of which they're deserving.
Thanks, Latoya. So I think a follow-up to that, is there some sort of threshold index that you can provide, e.g. number of publications, H index, years of work, etc.?
I know that's a hard one too. And what I want to say is we are really trying to shift away from things like H index because we realize, particularly if you have an award, for example, where there's an early career individual and maybe someone who's more senior, those H indexes can look very different. But what we're wanting the committees, selection committees, to do is actually look at the body of work and the accomplishments of the individual. And so we really want to go away from those individual numbers, because someone can have an absolutely outstanding, game-changing publication early in their career that, you know, has just broad reach across their discipline, that shows that they've worked really hard and they've put in the work to make this breakthrough or discovery or this outstanding scientific achievement. Should that be weighed less because they don't have 100 different publications? And so I think that's where the selection committees really need strong packages that are convincing and that are compelling when they are doing their deliberations, so that they can say, you know, what do we want to honor and what do we want to recognize within the scope of this particular award?
That's great. Thank you, Latoya. So another one, who usually does the nominating? PIs, peers, etc.? Do we have guidance around this?
Many people do. Actually, we have seen quite a few packages that come from mentees or advisees for an individual, because they say, you know, my professor I had was absolutely outstanding and I want to nominate them for this award, and they rally people around in order to develop the packet. And so, but there's some that come from PIs There's nomination packages that we see come from deans and directors, across academia and government agencies. We see nomination packages come in from colleagues who work with individuals on teams, particularly for some of the broader international scientific field studies or activities. There'll be colleagues who submit nomination packages for other colleagues. So there really isn't, in my opinion, from what I've seen, one particular type of nominator. I think it's across the spectrum. I don't know, Rosa, if you want to speak to that too.
Same. We've just gone through our process here this year, and it's a wide swath of folks. So, people should be really encouraged to, and not hopefully feel that there are a lot of barriers based on who they are to be able to nominate. I mean, it's a lot of opportunity.
Latoya and Rosa, do you want to mention, though, that there are some restrictions, right, on conflict of interest? Do you want to just go over those very briefly about nominators?
Yeah, we do have a conflict of interest policy, and I don't have it in front of me.
I'm looking for.
Okay, thank you. So there are conflict of interest, and that's why I say when you have nominations, it's great to have a team and not one individual going forward with the nomination. I think that helps because there are some conflicts of interest that we want to avoid so your nomination package doesn't get kicked back, and we'll put that link in the chat when we find it. But just because maybe someone, you have a conflict of interest and can't be the nominator listed for that particular individual doesn't mean that you can't contribute to helping develop the package. We see that quite a bit.
Great,
So I've dropped that link in the chat for folks.
Great, thank you.
So I think that is all the questions that we've received. Are there any others from folks that they haven't had an opportunity to type in yet, or? Not seeing anything else come in, Jen.
The only other thing we might want to mention, one more thing is, do you want to say about maybe if someone wants to join a canvassing committee, how do they do that?
Oh yes, volunteers are always. I encourage joining a canvassing committee. I also encourage expressing interest in joining a selection committee because I think there are processes and ways of developing a package and viewing a nomination that you can learn a lot about by serving as a volunteer leader in those roles. And so each of the sections, some of the sections have their canvassing committees. So I'd encourage folks to reach out to, like Rosa said, it's on the website and Hannah mentioned there, but also your section leadership, your section president, and secretary should be able to direct you to the correct people who are leading the canvassing committee. And for selection committees, there's always a call that goes out for volunteers for selection committees. If you see it, I encourage you to sign up for it because it's really a way of learning. For example, if you know you'd like to submit a nomination for an award, whatever that award may be, next year or 2 years later in some different discipline, but you want to see how the process works, I'd say put your name forward as a potential person to serve on a selection committee. Of course, you can't serve on a selection committee for awards you want to put a nomination for, that's a conflict of interest. But if you serve on a different committee for a different medal or award or prize, you really do learn about the process and it can help you when it comes to developing your packet.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, should we carry on, Hannah?
Yep, I haven't seen anything else come in, so I think we're good.
Okay, well, another round of applause for a great presentation. Thank you so much, Latoya and Rosa.